I don't think you want that to happen. That's two-faced.
I'll be honest with you. I hope he learns exactly what should be learned, that there is no play game battles.
But you know as hard as you can.
Oh, good morning. Welcome into a very special edition of First Take on a Tuesday. Stephen A. sits down with Will Smith to discuss his new movie, Concussion. Looking forward to that interview. We appreciate you joining us. Skip Bayless, Molly Karam here in Bristol. Stephen A. joining us from New York. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
What up, what up, what up? How y'all doing? Good morning.
Good morning.
I am looking forward to your Will Smith interview, but I was thinking last night of all the people that have interviewed Will last 48 hours, you might be the only person to interview him who's actually bigger than Will Smith.
Oh, you're right.
It just occurred to me. I'm right about that.
Blockbuster right here.
Yes.
You know what? Come talk to me when I get $20 million for doing this show, like he gets $20 million per film. Come talk to me then.
From what I read, I think it might be in that ballpark.
Right?
Yeah.
I heard Will was nervous.
Once again, erroneous information.
You can't believe what you read? Yeah.
You can't believe what you read.
We have an even bigger story than the movie Concussion, though, that we need to get into right now. Odell Beckham Jr. has been suspended one game for his conduct in Sunday's loss to the Panthers. One Giant source told ESPN's Ian O'Connor the receiver was unnerved by the fact that one Panther carried a baseball bat onto the field during warm-ups, a bat that found its way into quarterback Josh Norman's hand. The source also said that Giants players overheard Carolina players direct at least 2 gay slurs at Beckham, setting the confrontation tone there. Panthers corner Bené Benwickery, who's out for the season, tweeted the following about the bat. Coaches and players in every sport use objects as symbols of motivation. The bat is a symbol. Stephen A., now that more details have been released regarding this situation, do you have any sympathy for Beckham?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as sympathy because, again, I believe that the suspension was a complete byproduct of the hit, the helmet-to-helmet hit that Odell Beckham Jr. laid on Josh Norman, essentially just really going head hunting, and that's really what it comes down to for me. Anything else that transpired, as far as I'm concerned, is all a part of the game, a lot of trash talking that was going on, et cetera, et cetera. And I will tell you, in fairness to Odell Beckham Jr., I have not spoken to him. I don't know him. I don't know his side, but I have spoken to Josh Norman on several occasions over the last 24 hours via text, and he emphatically denies the things that he said was provoked by their position coach, talking about we're bringing the wood, we're here to hit home runs, make a difference. He certainly didn't threaten anyone with a bat. He said that is a flat-out unequivocal lie. He also talked about the slurs that people are intimating that he said to Odell Beckham Jr. He swears that is an absolute unequivocal lie, and he doesn't appreciate his name being put out there like that in regards to those kind of allegations. He makes no apologies for talking trash to Odell Beckham Jr. He makes no apologies for getting in his face. He makes no apologies for getting in his head and telling him that he was going to get his butt whipped on this particular afternoon. He co-signs on all of that. He validated and confirmed all of those things. But he said that he never said those things, and he certainly never threatened him with the bat. So with that being said, what we have is a situation where we have to go by what we have seen. And what we saw was him getting at Odell Beckham Jr. a bit excessively and probably deserving of a fine, but Odell Beckham Jr. getting at him in such a way, particularly with that helmet-to-helmet hit. There's no excuse for that. That was excessive. Everybody with 2 eyes that saw that would agree that you have no business doing that on a football field in this day and age. There's no way around that. That doesn't mean that we're denigrating or condemning Odell Beckham Jr., the person. We're certainly not going to get into the nonsense that's been spewed about him on a personal level, because that's excessive and, quite frankly, none of our business. What is our business is what we saw on the football field and getting to the bottom as to why that happened. We had Josh in his head and got to him, which he openly admits and won't apologize for. But he did say, I never threatened him with a bat. Nobody would do something like that. That's just ignorant. And he certainly denied that he went at him with any kind of slurs or anything of that nature. It was just football. They were talking trash. Odell Beckham Jr. took it personally as far as Josh Norman is concerned, and what happened, happened.
I cannot tell you how much I agree with everything you just said, and then some. I'm going to go times 10 everything you just said. And I am sorry, but I found every excuse that came out of the Giants camp yesterday absolutely laughable. To Molly's question, I have zero new sympathy for Odell Beckham Jr. It is preposterous to me. Let's start with the first side of the bat that we were told about. It is preposterous that a practice squad player who's not even dressed for the game, brandishing a bat on the sideline, would make Odell Beckham Jr. during warm-ups fear for his life and send him over the edge. Stephen A., we all know you are not allowed to take the bat out on the football field. And it is further preposterous to me that the sight of Josh Norman subsequently with just the bat in his hands, not threatening to hit Odell with it during warm-ups, just having the bat in his hands would further send Odell over the edge. And then we were told, reportedly, that Odell was told, maybe by Josh Norman, maybe by other Panthers before the game, that Josh was going to take him out, go for his knees. If I had a nickel for every time those words were uttered in pregame warm-ups in just about every NFL game that's ever played, I could own MetLife Stadium. I'd buy it, and I'd get all the proceeds and revenues. Because it happens, and it happens, and it happens again. And let's go to the gay slurs. Whatever slurs were uttered and aimed at Odell Beckham before the game, as you know and I know, it happens before nearly every game. Again, I don't want to seem unsympathetic. I'm not unsympathetic to the slur itself in an out-of-football context, but in this context, before a high-stakes NFL game, it happens all the time. And it's, again, preposterous to me that that could send Odell Beckham Jr. completely out of control, over the edge, into, I would say, the biggest meltdown I have ever witnessed during a pro football game, which started right from the start. And we're back to the old expression, the kids' expression, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never, and I'm going to paraphrase, words can never beat you. They can't beat you, and they beat him. They beat him right away. As Molly painfully knows, right away, Eli throws him a perfect ball, and he is so discombobulated. His mind is so on everything but catching the football that he dropped a pass. This is the guy that we say has the greatest hands we've ever seen in pro football. The camera just fixates on him before the game, making one-handed catches in the end zone. We know he made what we all said was the greatest catch ever last year against my Dallas Cowboys. We get all that, and then he drops the first ball thrown to him that could have set a whole different tone for the football game. And here's my final irony, Mr. Smith. I have been told repeatedly that Odell Beckham Jr. just might be the best trash talker in all of pro football, so especially at the receiver position, going at it with the DBs. And the irony here is, to me, that the Panthers beat him at his own game. They took that he used weapons, for the same words, but they turned words back against him, and it worked. Because we have all been, culpable here. We've all put him on such a pedestal, and he's earned a lot of that pedestal. We have so glorified him, so idolized him, so put him in like all-time greatness that his skin has become paper thin. And Josh Norman was smart enough to see that leading up to this game, because this is Josh's M.O. He engages in psychological warfare, and he isn't good at it. I think he's great at it. He got to Des Bryant at Jerry World on Thanksgiving, and he really got to the quote-unquote best receiver in pro football. So I'm sorry, all these excuses that I hear, or the logic or the explanation for why he went over the edge, I'm just not going to buy any of it, so I'm zero sympathy.
Well, I will say this to you, Skip Bayless, and I totally agree where you're coming from, but I think it's important to not jump off the subject but veer a little left and understand that we're not really calling Odell Beckham Jr. out because he's not the one who's verbally making all of these excuses. It's a whole bunch of people speaking for him, whether it's teammates, whether it's analysts on the air. And that was one of the things that with all the analysts, and I'm not going to get into any names because there's too many to go across, but with as much profound respect as I have for them, everybody's missing the big picture to me. Everybody is sitting back and because you're criticizing Odell Beckham Jr.'s actions during that game, everybody's acting like there's an indictment against him and folks are engaging in character assassination. I didn't get that. What I got were people pointing out how his actions were a bit excessive, more so than we even see from the average receiver on this particular Sunday, and it sullied his name to some degree because we saw what extent he was willing to go through to, quote unquote, retaliate if indeed that's what he was doing. That blow to the head of Josh Norman was dangerous. That blow to the head of Josh Norman left us sitting here shocked that Josh Norman was on the airwaves talking about it, not just post-game, but after, not just yesterday, rather, but also immediately following the post-game because folks were wondering how in God's name was he not concussed. So you're highlighting the actions by Odell Beckham Jr. and saying you simply can't do that. Now we listen to folks talk about him. This is not a bad kid. This kid is this kid is that. That ain't the point. Nobody's trying to denigrate him or character assassinate him and have that reputation follow him through the rest of his career. What you're trying to highlight for him, because he's just 23 years of age, is to say, look, if you go down that path, you're going to have a very short career because you're going to get yourself in a world of trouble and you're going to do more harm than good to yourself and your career than you could ever hope to do to the Josh Normans of the world. You're using it to serve as a warning and provide an educational moment so you'll know what to avoid in the future. That's all it is. But folks are running out there in a zest to protect him. They're losing sight of the fact, let's just deal with the fact that you're wrong. And I think that's one of the problems, Skip, that exists in professional sports and, dare I say, this world. People can't just own up and say they were wrong. To jump off the rails, my man Steve Harvey, made the mistake with the Miss Universe, announcing the wrong winner. He made a grave mistake. He apologized. He manned up. He said, I messed up. What more could he do? All you could do is apologize, be a man, and move forward. I wish more men were like Steve Harvey in that regard, and they could just own up to what they did wrong and move forward instead of looking for apologists to try and explain away everything.
I got it.
That's basically
Although, remember, as you well know, Steve Harvey's was a momentary mistake that happened on national TV. Odell's was a game-long, maybe a half-long mistake where it just went on and got worse and worse and worse. And again, as I brought up yesterday, I thought Tom Coughlin was very honest to a fault yesterday. He said, hey, I'm paraphrasing his words, but he said, I didn't want him thrown out of the game because I wanted to try to come back and win the game, and they almost did. And you say, well, why didn't his teammates talk to him? There's no veteran leadership on the New York Giants. This kid's big, man. He's on the cover of Madden. It's just hard. He's by far the most famous current New York football Giant, and he transcends the record of the team. The team's record obviously isn't very good, but Odell Beckham is huge in the National Football League. I told you yesterday, he's right up there with the quarterbacks right now in promotional priority to me.
But that doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve the right to make amends for his mistake by moving forward. And that's all I'm saying.
Okay,
he deserves a right to sit there. We sit there and say, hey, you messed up. You don't need to do this again. But he doesn't need to be excoriated. But Josh Norman did his job, and he doesn't deserve to be vilified either. It's football.
But I truly hope he learns his lesson because he did hurt his team. He accounts for 36% of their TDs. He's not going to be there on Sunday Night Football. The playoffs are on the line. It's really, really unfortunate.
Well, maybe they'll pull together and win in spite of his absence.
We'll see.